Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
Audio version today.
It's audio.
Little audio version, no worries. But we are back in the studio, y'all, and we're gonna get our faces up here shortly. Little fun surprise moment. Oh,
Hey!
there we are.
There we are.
Hello. We are back with another episode of Off Field. I'm Liv Moods, joined by BK and Nathaniel. Kidding.
Oh, come on.
Nathan
There we go.
Jackson. My friends, my besties. They are back here with me. You guys were in Tampa Bay.
Oh, yeah.
Did you have fun?
We had a blast, Liv.
How is it traveling with BK?
You know, super smooth. Everything that goes according to plan.
It did go according to plan. Some hiccups on my end.
What hiccups did you remember?
I may or may not have booked my flight incorrectly. My return, my travel plans changed. Initially, I was going to go to West Virginia and cover the practices.
I knew
that got changed around, so I'm back here, and then I'll fly out to New York at the end of the week. But so inexplicably, because I handled their travel, he and Jason return trips. I booked, round trip. I booked a one-way, but then the return trip, I had to book separately when my plans changed. And I don't know why, but I booked mine for 6 a.m. yesterday morning rather than the 9 o'clock at night flight they were on. So
you were actually going to miss the game if you would have stuck to.
Yeah, if I would have just gone, it's been fun hanging out in Tampa with you guys. I'll see you back in Denver. Enjoy the game.
Yeah.
But I'm here now.
Otherwise,
he had the hiccups
was it fun?
He had the hiccups the entire time.
Oh, so there was constantly little moments.
Yep. But we made it.
Are you going to travel with him again, or are you going to?
Yeah, I'm sure. We'll refine this thing. You got to remember, Liv.
Everything's a first time, right?
You got to remember, I'm used to traveling like with NFL teams, and it's very routine.
It's done for you,
but not only that, there's an itinerary, and you stick to the plan. There are no like wild cards. There are no wait, I forgot the chords. We got to stop at Guitar Center,
right?
To pick up the chords.
Did you have to stop at Guitar Center?
Oh yeah, right when we got there.
And Nate played the drums. He played the guitar. We played the rain stick, and then it started raining when we walked out of the.
I did totally get FOMO because BK sent me a video of them like getting some dinner and dancing around at this little restaurant. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize you guys were able to have fun without me. This is feeling rude.
I feel bad for look, Jason is essentially your age.
Yeah.
And he's stuck with us two dudes. Not that we can't have a good time, but we're just a little older. So as we left the place we were watching the game, Matt, I asked the guy, I go, where's a place that doesn't have like a club kind of vibe? So we're in Ybor City where there's all these just bar after bar kind of mini clubs, a couple real clubs, but ones that are like you can walk in without there being a crazy line, but it feels like you're at a club. It's just easy to get into, dance vibe. And the guy's like, oh, just go down there, 2 doors down to whatever. And it was exactly what I didn't ask for. So we kept walking. It was like definitely a club, just without the line. We end up at basically like a really nice high, like cocktail bar that had a DJ and a cool vibe.
Yeah.
But it was definitely people closer to our age and 30-year-old birthday going on and this and that. And I just felt bad for Jason because I'm like, yeah, we basically brought you to places just like most of the places in Denver, whereas there's some more Florida-y kind of spots, and he stuck with us. But yeah, we had a good time for sure.
Good time?
Yeah, it was great. And the Broncos won, which was pretty friggin' awesome.
I got to hang out with Blake on Saturday while you guys were in Tampa Bay.
You also got to go to a great game with a great ending.
Very great game. Yeah, Buffs managed to get it done. I got attacked by a Baylor bear. I always knew I hated them. Go Frogs.
Can you describe that moment? Where how did that go down?
So actually, my line of sight. So this was the play where they weren't sure if that Colorado player, and I can't think of it off the top of my head who it was, but they weren't sure if his knee went down, but he kept running. And I thought the play was dead. I thought it was over. So I'm like peering around the group of coaches, and I'm like, there's someone still running. Oh, this is still, because then you hear the crowd start to realize, oh, he might actually score a touchdown. Well, I'm kind of peering around trying to see what's happening. They're fast. I don't know if you guys knew that. Football players are very fast. And before I knew it, here comes the CU player. And I'm like, oh, they're about to score. Well, the Baylor player that was trying to stop him was also running fast. And his momentum just happened to come flying right into my body.
Wow.
It felt like maybe 150 miles per hour. Honestly.
Where did he hit you?
Well, he took my legs out from under me.
Wow.
So I'm trying to film.
Good thing you're not wearing.
I've got one hand filming, My legs go out from under me. This hand catches me.
Do you have the video?
I'm on. I do. There's a slow-mo video out there.
Oh,
We've posted it.
Oh, okay.
You can just see me on TV, on national television, go, oh, and then, the hand with the cameras flying and I go down and then, but you know what? I got content. I was able to pop up. I saw the celebration for the touchdown. That's all that matters.
And you didn't get hurt.
No. Well, I will say the next morning, my shins felt a little tender.
Okay.
Outside of that, tender shins.
Okay.
Outside of that, though, good. I'm good. Blake was very worried. He actually wasn't there standing with me, but then when everyone around me was telling him, like, you just missed it. She just got bulldozed over by.
He's two things.
He felt pretty bad. I was like, I'm good.
He's worried about you as not only a coworker, but he's also going through like, is there going to be a workman's comp issue?
No,
How
none of that.
Is she?
I was so fine. I was so fine. And honestly, like in those moments, the adrenaline kind of takes over and you don't even really
unless something crazy.
Yeah, no, I was fine. And I told him
guys get blasted all the time.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. A lot of people get hit on the sideline and don't fare as well as you. Some people get Sean Payton like tore his ACL or broke his legs that way. Like
I think I could have hurt myself if I tried to move. Like if I tried to like use speed that I don't have to get out of the way, it would have been talking about a bad idea.
Yesterday about hits, like when you get hit clean, it sometimes, I mean, these guys are in pads and helmets, but it doesn't hurt as much as when you get hit awkwardly.
I definitely got hit clean.
Way.
It was a clean hit.
Clean hit. I do want to hit the rewind button on something real quickly. When did you retire from the NFL?
Well, retire is an interesting term.
When did your NFL career?
2009.
Okay, 2009.
I retired the way JFK retired from politics, basically.
Well,
okay.
more or less. I mean,
the way Steve Irwin retired from the Animal Planet.
I feel like those are extreme examples.
I was in elementary school in 2009.
Well, that's exciting.
Well, yeah, my career was over.
Yeah, but the reason I say this, how long ago was that when you were in elementary school?
I mean, would have been
15 years, right?
Yeah, a long time.
Because you
I'm
just
26.
said he just said I'm used to traveling with an NFL team, and I'm like, this was his
it's
first
for a
trip.
game. It's for a game. It's for a game.
Okay,
we traveled.
That's
for a
fair.
Football game.
It was football.
Right.
We went to a
but
football
we're not
game.
on the team anymore, so we're just going to cover it.
Well, either way, football is back in Colorado. That's what we learned this weekend. Holy cow, we had great football. I want to spend like 2 seconds recapping week 3. Broncos are back. We'll get to that, of course. But I want to talk a little bit about some quarterback performances that I think we need to just evaluate and just give maybe some credit where it's due. Sam Darnold off to a 3-0 start. I'm not sure what kind of a starting job JJ McCarthy will have once he's healthy, because Sam Darnold right now is doing exactly what he needs to do. Justin Fields went from being a 10-28 Chicago Bear to a 3-0 Pittsburgh Steeler under Mike Tomlin. Again, not sure what kind of a job Russell Wilson has when the calf heals up, because Justin Fields is looking really great. And then you've got the person that replaced Justin Fields in Caleb Williams struggling and having maybe some similar issues to Justin Fields, which leads me to maybe the quarterback position is not the problem in Chicago. Maybe there's something else that what's got to give. Also, we know rookies, they need a little bit of time, got to be patient. Nate has talked about on this very show, you can't expect these young guys to just completely turn around a program. So we know it's going to take time, but wanted to talk about and then Andy Dalton taking over for Bryce Young. I was really former Frog, go Frog. So I love that for him. But I was really hoping he maybe wouldn't do really well so that we could say it's not all Bryce Young's fault. But under Andy Dalton, this offense scored 36 points, which is 23 more points than Bryce Young has scored in the first 2 weeks of play. Obviously not great for Bryce Young, but great for the Panthers. They got a win against the Raiders. So quarterbacks were we had some interesting quarterback performances, and obviously we know the importance that they have in this game. And then Bo Nix with the best rookie quarterback performance in week 3. That's got to make you feel good as a Broncos fan.
Let's see what Jaden Daniels does, I guess.
Yeah, I guess that is true. Jaden Daniels does play tonight, so there is still time there. But overall, what are your guys' biggest takeaways from week 3?
It's about the team. It continues to be about the team around you and not the guy under center, right? Sam Darnold doesn't have success. Other places comes to the Minnesota Vikings, which is a good team, a well-coached team, a team that has won the last couple of years. He falls in and understands how to win as well. Andy Dalton is a very experienced quarterback who knows where the ball is supposed to go. The job of the quarterback is to distribute the football to the guys around you who know how to run with it. They get paid to do that. You don't. You get paid to give it to them. And he knows that that's his role. And he's smart. He can internalize the game plan very easily compared to Bryce Young. And so he went in there and boom, boom, boom. He knew where to go with the football, and all of a sudden the offense gets unlocked, right? So it's really about the structure of the team around you, being able to make good decisions and understand where the offense is supposed to go versus the coverages you see. And a lot of times rookie or young quarterbacks don't see the defense.
Yeah.
We've talked about that before. Bo Nix last week didn't see the defense, and that was a lot because of the play clock issues. You get to the line of scrimmage with 3 seconds left, you're not going to see the defense.
Yep.
But if you have time, you understand what's expected of you, you can slow the game down in your mind, you know where to go with the ball. The quarterback continues to be a position that is, in my estimation, overvalued, or at least you tell them, you say it's about this guy.
Mm-hmm.
No, this guy's performance is based on what everyone else is doing around him to make him better. Patrick Mahomes is a perfect example of it.
Yep.
He went to the Chiefs when they were already a good team, 10-win team every year. Alex Smith had the keys, handed him to Patrick Mahomes and said, here's the Ferrari, buddy, don't crash it. And he hasn't. He's won every race. So the quarterback is incredibly important, but so is the rest of the team to make him play well.
So I want to ask you a specific question, though, before you get into that. How can you, everything he just said, and then you can also add in your own little thing, how does that relate to the Broncos and Bo Nix? So how do you think the Broncos got better around Bo Nix to then help him have one of the better rookie quarterback performances in week 3?
Well, and it's something that Nate and I talked about after the game. I know he talked about it with you on the post-game show as well. And then you look at a couple of things, but one, getting out of the huddle more quickly, which is something that you really harped on last week, and clearly they did that.
Yep.
But when you talk about the guys around you, not only did they show up, catch the football when it was thrown to them, he distributed the ball to 9 different receivers. So it's not that he didn't have a favorite guy. I mean, Cortland Sutton ends up with 7 grabs, not a lot of yards there. Same with Josh Reynolds, 6, not a lot of yards. But that just shows that he has no problem. He's not just picking favorites, because Troy Franklin was his favorite last year at Oregon, but Marvin Mims is in there, Greg Dulcich, Nate Atkins, the running backs. And so that's saying I'm not just throwing to my number one guy, whomever that is. I'm throwing to whomever is open.
Yep.
And I think that speaks to the whole guys around you thing. That's why I was going to bring it back to Brock Purdy. And he had a really nice day, numbers-wise. You know, I had him as a fantasy quarterback in one of my leagues, 3 touchdowns, 250, 60 yards, whatever that number was. But with no Debo, no George Kittle, obviously Christian McCaffrey on the shelf, that's a way different team.
Yeah.
Very.
And the Mahomes thing, though, he has now evolved to, because Travis Kelce's not doing anything, which it's very weird to see. And I think Chris Collinsworth kind of was talking about that last night on the game too. But he now is just making everybody around him better. It's good to have better players, right? Like Xavier Worthy and even Juju coming back and Rashee Rice are better than Kadarius Toney and guys like that. But Mahomes can now elevate the way Peyton could, the way Tom Brady. But you have to get to that. He wasn't there from the jump. He was coming to a team that had won the division the year before with a bunch of Pro Bowlers kind of all around him. And now he's transcended that. But you're right, especially for young quarterbacks. If your team's bad, you can have a good quarterback and it still doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I saw Alex Smith talking about this on TV about the Peyton Manning model.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not being the right one. Peyton was a big advocate about, put Bo Nix in there. Does Peyton talk like I'm working on my Peyton accent. He does this a lot with his hand. Southern. He does this when he talks.
You've got a little bit of the good accent right there.
He does this with his hand, and he purses his lips a lot. He just does that. So he's very like robotic with his hand. Watch his hand.
Eli.
Watch his hand when he talks. But Peyton, 28 picks his rookie year, is allowed to go out there and suck.
Yeah.
Next year he comes back and goes 13-3, right? And so everyone and Peyton was a big advocate for putting Bo in and letting him have the same experience. But not, and Alex Smith is saying, well, hold your horses. Not everybody's Peyton Manning. Peyton is the anomaly. And actually, you put a guy out there and he, like Bryce Young, you can ruin him. He develops bad fundamentals. He has bad coaching. He learns some very bad habits. He loses his confidence. And that could have been what happened to Bryce Young. So you have to understand the temperament of the guy that you're throwing out there in that situation.
Look, I'm looking at the damn camera. Don't worry about it. Now
so you can time your yawns? That's impressive,
yes,
dude.
Well,
you can hold it until you're not on camera.
You guys weren't able to see it, and BK's now upset that we are drawing attention to it.
He's making a bunch of good points, and now you're
no. I mean,
we got distracted because BK was yawning.
Just trust me. Just like when I grab my phone most of the time, and that's like, let me look this up for y'all. I'll do it when the camera's on one of you.
You guys know he's a big stat guy. Okay, you just mentioned bad habits.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to talk about your yawning. I think there was maybe a little bit of a concern that the Broncos were back on trend to be building bad habits based on what we watched in the first 2 weeks of play. What did you see in week 3 that made you feel like some of those bad habits that we saw what bad habits did you see disappear in week 3?
Yeah, it really wasn't defense, because the defense I thought was playing well.
Shout
It
out
wasn't
defense.
the special teams. The special teams played well again.
Yep.
It was offense, and to me, it was the operational stuff with the offense.
Yeah.
And they cleaned it up. They had a delay of game on the first drive down there when they got close to the end zone. And that was Sean Payton. That's a Sean Payton issue.
Yeah.
Because he's taking a long time to get his very wordy play in. And you watch that huddle when Bo Nix finally gets the play and he starts telling it to the guys. It takes 9 seconds for him to get it out of his mouth.
Yeah.
9 seconds of talking to tell everyone what to do on a play. By the time they break the huddle, it's 5 seconds left. They had to delay again.
Too many relative twos.
Relative to the play call, too wordy, right?
Too wordy.
So they cleaned that up.
Yeah.
They addressed it. And you see when he got to the line of scrimmage with 15 seconds left, and he could really stand there and be like, okay, here's what we got. And you could see the offensive linemen pointing stuff out.
Yeah.
And you can see just an understanding of what's happening. So they cleaned that up.
Yeah.
Another thing, the receivers caught the ball better.
What do you know?
A whole lot better.
What
right?
do you know?
And so the receivers had a big game relative to the previous two.
I was going to say relative to week 1 and 2.
And then also the offensive line, I alluded to their ability to kind of call things out because they had plenty of time. They played very well. They kept Bo very clean back there. Whereas, in the first couple of weeks, he was running for his life and looked spooked and thrown off back feet and stuff. He didn't really do a lot of that yesterday. So Bo's technique improved. And those kind of Bryce Young worries about a guy developing bad habits, we didn't see that yesterday. We saw a Bo Nix who was stoic in the pocket relative to the previous 2 weeks.
I agree.
There's a saying in sports, but I think it applies in the NFL maybe more than any, and it's that winning cures all, right? And I understand that you can still have a guy that tears his ACL. There's nothing winning can do about a torn ACL. But in general, it just changes the mood everywhere. But then you have to look at who it'll affect the most. And Sean Payton was quick to shoot down the notion that the losses were affecting Bo's confidence.
He shut that down.
Yeah, it was our guy.
That's your narrative, all right?
Yeah,
stop it.
Our guy Rod Mackey threw it out there, and Sean was not happy. He's like, "Look, that's your narrative. This he's been through it all, and he kind of has. When you're the golden child of Alabama, your dad played at Auburn. I think Grandpa might have too, but you grow up there in Birmingham. You're gonna go, and we know it just didn't go great all the time for him. Goes to Oregon, has a really nice career, and it's like, okay, let's see who he is, but." He, like we've chronicled, has been the starting quarterback forever. So he's used to the ups and downs of that position. I don't think he won 5 straight state titles when he was in high school because, again, he played varsity as an 8th grader.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That's what he told us. He started football in 7th grade, was the quarterback on the 7th grade team. In 8th grade, he was the JV starter with the high school kids and the varsity backup until midway through the year. And then he was a starter, and he has started every game since.
Oh, my God.
So he started playing. But so I don't know how much this helped Bo's confidence other than it was like, okay, I know I can do this at this level. I know I can win. But I think that it helps a lot of these young guys that aren't used to it. Cortland Sutton in his postgame was talking about the young guys understanding how big Broncos country really is and how well they can travel. It didn't help that also the Bucs were wearing orange t-shirts, like Bucs fans with like orange t-shirt day. So then they also all looked like Broncos fans.
Yeah.
But
works for us.
Because I use this in the I mentioned it in the press conference when I asked my question to Sean Payton that I was in the elevator because I had to go run to the car to get one of those cords in the elevator when Bo Nix has that big run. And I'm like, oh, damn, what happened for the Bucs? Because the crowd erupted. And as I get off the elevator, I'm like, oh, turnover, fumble, whatever. And I'm seeing the replay of Bo Nix's big run. And I'm like, oh, there really are a lot of Broncos fans
I love
here.
that.
And look, it was really hot. Tampa, even though they're 2-0, their fan base is it's a college football hotbed up there. The Dolphins have the biggest fan base by far in that state. You could get into the game for $11. You could sit on the 50-yard line, 5 rows up for $72. I had some friends who were at the game like, yeah, we bought them from season ticket holder for face. I go, well, you could have sat the 5th row for $72. But when you talk about, so it helps the young guys. And then I think maybe more than anything, it helps Sean Payton. Getting this win is a reminder to him, like, okay, Sean Payton,
I can do this relative
but like that my stuff still can work. Yes, we need to tweak it. Our approach needs to change. That's why I rely on my people around me too, to kind of help me help me from me. But a reminder, like, okay, I know what I'm doing. This has worked for a long time. I know how to design plays that get guys open, and the players need to execute. But because you could tell last week, he was scratching his head, like this stuff worked for a long time. Why is it not working? And it was easy, I think, in the back of his mind to blame Russ a little bit for things not going well. He's like, I call a great play, and if Russ changes it or just improvises, doesn't mean that it wasn't a great play call.
Right.
And then it's like, well, they're running the plays I'm calling, and it is not working.
He's had a lot of experience there in that stadium, playing for the Saints, going down there, playing against Todd Bowles. He's played against these guys a lot, and so he had kind of a muscle memory of that and how to win those games. He talked about that in the press conference. We knew what kind of game it was going to be and what kind of pressure they were going to, and how we had to kind of dictate the terms there, and they did that. And you were just talking about Bo, and I was thinking about, like, he's been a starting quarterback since 8th grade.
7th grade, really? Like, he's only about 4 or 5 games that he's never started, and that was
at what point
as a varsity 8th grade. He was still starting those JV games.
At what point is he going to be like tired? Like, I'm sick of this shit. Like,
that's Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning threw on his whole uniform to go
never,
to walk on
right?
stage with Morgan Wallen.
I guess never.
I think that might have been even last night at Neyland Stadium in Knoxville. I think.
But listen,
you're a quarterback, but you're always wired. Like, you always think when you're that guy. Like, Peyton Manning is the quarterback at Omaha Productions. Everything he does, Peyton Manning's the quarterback.
Yeah,
John Elway.
Okay, but last week after the loss, D-Mac asked him about his confidence, and he said, "Look, football's not everything."
I asked that question.
You asked that question. Jesus fucking Christ! It does always come back to you, Brandon.
Only for the sake of accuracy.
Okay, so he talked about you. You want to tell the story?
No.
He talked about football not being everything.
Yeah,
that life is bigger than football. And stuff. And so, he's been through a lot. Like Brandon was just breaking down the adversity he's been through, and it not working out in his home state and having to go elsewhere. And so you just wonder. We're getting to know this young man.
Yeah.
And that was awesome yesterday. And we'll see how things progress. But for a guy who has been doing this, he's only 24 and he's been doing this already for 11, 12 years under center. And we want him to be here another 11 or 12 years here, right?
Yep.
So interesting to see just the psychology of a guy who's been at it for so long.
You mentioned Courtland Sutton. And honestly, yesterday in our post-game live reaction, we got a full interview clip of Courtland Sutton. And one of my bigger takeaways from that was him talking about, like, the little details, the penalties, the turnovers, it sounds like they're really trying to build on something that doesn't just last this year, but lasts a long time. And he talked about building what it takes to build a championship level team. And I think that Sutton had a much better week. Relative to week 1 and week 2. And Nate, you brought us your game changer play of the game. And I think it has to do with Courtland Sutton a little bit. So what are we looking at, and take it away. Let us know what
boom.
X's and O's are.
Changer. Okay. X's and O's. Now, I've been doing offense, and I'm going to continue to do offense today. Now, the game-changing play typically doesn't happen at the very beginning of the game, but the game-changing play I'm going to choose, and don't put it up yet, is the very first play of the game. Now, Courtland Sutton caught that ball, and we're going to go through it in a second. But Sean Payton and all these offensive coaches, what they do is they script the first 15 or so plays of every game. That means that as a player, the night before the game, you get a piece of paper in your hand that tells you what the plays are going to be. You know what number 1 is. And if you're the guy who might get the ball or is going to get the ball on play number 1, you go to bed the night before the game saying, all right, it's up to me to set the tone for this team. Courtland Sutton is the number 1 receiver on this team. He's the highest paid receiver. He had a very good year last year in a difficult offensive situation. And he has struggled the last couple of weeks. He's had some drops. He looked to me a little robotic out there trying to get the rhythm with his young quarterback. But yesterday, he found that rhythm and he set the tone. And a lot of times, guys, you've been watching the Broncos over the last 6, 7, 8 years. They come out of the gate flat, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. Well, the Broncos scored a touchdown on their first drive. That set the tone for everything going forward. And it started with Courtland Sutton on this very play. Ruben hit the first slide. All right. First play of the game, they're in man coverage. You see Courtland down there at the bottom with a circle on him. And you see Josh Reynolds up there at the top. No circle on him because he's not getting the ball, but the coverage is identical. And Bo Nix is out there in shotgun. You got 2 tight ends out there and 1 back. And Bo Nix gets to pick which side he likes. And he's about to go to his favorite receiver or the guy he thinks is going to get him going. Again, those are mirrored looks over there. So when you have that, you're going to go to the guy you like the most. And you're going to see who he likes the most. Next slide, please. All right, one of the issues that Bo's been dealing with also in the last couple of weeks is an unclean pocket. The offensive line really not being able to handle some of the pressures or even just these big bodies who've been pushing him around, guys leaning, getting beaten, putting pressure on Bo, causing him to throw off platform, off balance, and throw some egregious picks. Not on this play. Look at that clean pocket. Everybody's got their man lined up, locked up. You can see Courtland here at the bottom getting his release going. That DB's right on top of him, and it's not going to matter because it's a back shoulder throw. But okay, let's hit the next slide here. All right, you see Bo just kind of hitting his back foot there, about to step up in the pocket. Again, a very clean pocket. That whole right side is pretty much locked down, and number 0 there on the left, he's getting taken care of by Garrett Bowles there. That's a very nice looking pocket for a quarterback. You're going to have nothing in your way. You're going to be able to see everything in front of you. Sometimes those big bodies in a pocket are really tall. You can't see your receivers. Not the problem on this one at all. Next slide. All right, there's Bo released it. Look at that. Look at that nice lane. Look at those big boys handling business, 1,500 pounds of meat, just taking care of their boy back there. All right, he lets the ball go. Next slide, please, Ruben. Okay, now a back shoulder throw. I want to talk about back shoulder, what that really means. So a back shoulder throw is a deep throw, but it's when the DB is on top of you. He has you covered, and it's an intentionally underthrown ball to the outside. It requires a ton of timing from the quarterback and the receiver, and the ability of the receiver to swivel his hips, open up his hips, and make that catch on the sideline and get those feet in. Okay, so it requires a ton of connection and touch and reps between the quarterback and the receiver. It's not a play that you used to see a lot back in the day. This is something that was popularized by the Tom Brady's and the Drew Breeses and the Peyton Mannings maybe 10 to 12 years ago, and it's really become very popular in the game now, especially as these DBs learn to get on top of receivers. It gives you an out when the deep ball isn't open, and oftentimes you know they're going to be on top of you, and you script it up that way. So they obviously were ready for this back shoulder throw. Next slide, please. But Cortland still had to be the one to make the play. And so there's a subtle little push off by Cortland there. All good receivers know how to push off without getting called for it. Everybody is committing penalties on every play in the NFL. It's the subtlety with which you do it that allows you to get away with it. You do a little quick flipper. That's what we call it, a flipper, a little penguin arm, a little chicken wing, whip. And you can't show the extension of the arm, or else you'll get flagged. You kind of might have extended a little bit there. The refs let him get away with it. You could see that DB kind of selling a little bit. Oh, you got me in the chest. But Cortland kind of opening those hips, understands where the sideline is. Ruben, next slide. And there he is, securing that catch. Did kind of cradle it a little bit, came into his body. I'm not a hugest fan of that. I like to put the hands out there, but you know what? He caught it anyway. You see that DB falling off.
Look at Jamel Dean's hands. It was like, does he think the ball's higher?
No, he's falling off. He's selling it to the refs like I just got pushed. That's why that DB is doing that with his hands, or else he has very bad depth perception. Okay, all right.
I'm gonna get this.
No. All right, next slide. And there he is. Yep. Next one. And there he is. You see that box on the feet there, expertly put there by our own Jesse Montano. And he's getting those 2 feet in. So, a lot of times you make the catch, but you don't get those 2 feet. It's a kind of a multi-form play there to drag those 2 feet. And Cortland's been very good at understanding where his feet are on the field. Last year he had those pretty, like 3 or 4 toe touch touchdowns, and he continues that trend here with a really nice toe touch on the sideline for a 22-yard gain to get the game started off. They move down the field. They score a touchdown on the first drive. Cortland ends up being the game changer.
All right. So a couple questions I want to talk about the back shoulder fade, but I also want to ask you, because it's something we hear a lot about, and I don't know if people understand the origin, but the scripting the first 15.
Yeah.
Was it Bill Walsh or was it Mike Shanahan working?
No, it was Bill Walsh.
Niners? So it's Bill Walsh.
Yeah.
He was the first one to say, okay, these are our plays that we know work. We're going to come out and do it. And then obviously Mike did it there with him. And then when Mike came here. No, Mike was there. He was not there when Mike was
Mike
there. And George Seifert. George Seifert and whoever's calling the plays.
Holmgren had been the OC before Mike got there. Holmgren takes the job in Green Bay. Mike takes over after leaving here. But
he's doing it, then Mariucci's doing it.
Right? And it becomes a thing that all these guys do.
And it makes sense, right?
Yeah, because the thing is, like, you have an idea for what you think their defense is going to do, right? Mm-hmm. You studied them, you studied their last 4 games, you put in your game plan, you have plays that you like, that you practiced all week, but you don't know what's going to work. But you know the plays that you like, that you want to use. And so you put your first 15 plays together.
And that's based on what you think that they do.
What you think they're going to do.
What works for them.
What you think's going to work. And then you go out there and you try them. And let's see what works in these first 15. And if it doesn't, if they absolutely gobble it up, let's cross it off. But if we like it, let's come back to it. So it gives you an idea of what's going to work going forward in the game. But this first 15 plays is not adhered to, like, no matter what. Yeah. Like, let's see, you're on your third play and it's a pass play, but let's say it's 3rd and a half a yard. You don't stick to the script there. You run a play that is going to pick you up the first down, and then you get back to the script.
Basically an outline.
Yeah, it's an outline. It's a template for what you're trying to do going forward. The Shanahan tree does it. I don't know for sure if Sean Payton does it, right?
Oh, Sean definitely does it.
Yeah,
because he's talked about it. That's why he said this was last year, but he talked about it, halftime adjustments. He's like, unless you're in the Super Bowl, you don't really have enough time. He's like, at halftime in the Super Bowl, you can come up with a whole new first 15. I think he said something along those lines. But
as a player, it's cool to have that, to know here's what we're doing, here's what we're doing.
And look, Sean came up as a play caller in the NFL under John Gruden, who was his OC in Philly with Ray Rhodes. And of course, those guys came from Greenbrier with Mike Holmgren. So Sean is of that branch of the Bill Walsh tree, as opposed to the direct Mike Shanahan branch. Although they're both Eastern Illinois guys and Eastern Illinois Hall of Famers. The other thing that you talked about was the evolution of the back shoulder fade. And where it's used most effectively, I think, is with receivers like Cortland, big receivers that aren't going to run right by you. Like, you didn't have to do it with Randy Moss because he was going to get behind the DB no matter what. But when you've got someone like Cortland Sutton, who big catch rate, maybe the biggest catch rate recently, one of them, and you want to just give him a chance because he's a basketball player. Let him go up and play. They talk about like Drake London with Atlanta, his basketball background. And Drake London, I think, has a little more speed than Cortland, certainly right now. But that's where it's most effective. If you've got an accurate quarterback, every DB is just trained. Like, even though you know the back shoulder fade is coming, you don't want to get beat deep. You don't want to, but you'll deal with a 14, 15-yard back shoulder fade versus 60 for a touchdown. And so if it's thrown right and you've got the right receiver, like running it with Marvin Mims makes less sense just because you're giving up too much size, I think. Right. But, it wasn't me, I don't think. Maybe it was.
I didn't. None of us even moved.
But the ghost of Marvin Mims, like, I can't run the back shoulder.
But it was funny because the second it happened, and we're sitting there, it's something you'd already been calling for the last couple of weeks. And I don't know if Sean's watching our show or not, but clearly they agreed with you and ran. I think we'll probably see more of it mixed in now going forward.
Yeah, and Cortland, it's a huge confidence booster for Cortland. Not like he doesn't have confidence, but as a receiver, it's good to get your hands on the ball early in a game. I was a receiver in college, and I caught a lot of passes, and so I always really enjoyed getting a ball in my hands in the first drive, no matter what. It could have been just a 5-yard hitch if they're playing off coverage. Just throw me the ball, let me get it in my hands, let me make a move, let me get hit, and let's get this thing going. And it really, and conversely, I've been the guy, the first play of the game comes to me and it hit my hand and fell on the ground. And then it's like, holy shit. And then we end up punting and then you get behind, and it's like, it's a chain reaction there. And so football depends on you coming out of the gate in those moments and being able to get the ball rolling. And it was cool to see the Broncos be able to do that.
And we talked about who this was good for. It was also good for the defense to get this win for two reasons. One, a lead allows you to pin your ears back. We know they've got a backup right tackle who's been a bit of a turnstile there. And they get after Baker Mayfield to the tune of 7 sacks. They get the 2 takeaways. Where we were in the press box on that first turnover where Brandon Jones has the pick, as the ball's in the air, I'm like, well, that's going to be picked. And you see Brandon Jones run right over, makes the catch.
Also, shout out Brandon Jones. I am very good friends with his wife. She is incredible. Her and I have weekly little lunch dates.
Oh, that's all right. That's exciting.
How about Brandon can come on the show?
Yeah,
that'd be great.
No, and she is wonderful, and I haven't met him personally yet, but based on what I know of her, he's also got to be wonderful. So that was really exciting to see that happen.
He has kept the streak alive now of since I got here in 2006. There's been at least one player named Brandon on the team every year, if not sometimes
That's
multiple.
Crazy.
Well,
and there's even been 2 Brandon Marshalls. They weren't together. But there's been 2 Brandon. We've had at least one for now 19 straight seasons.
Coincidence?
A player named Brandon.
I don't think so.
I think not.
But that the defense had confidence, but you don't even have to talk about a fractured locker room. And I'm not saying that they are, but when the defense is throwing out performances like they did the first 2 weeks, I know that third quarter in Seattle didn't go great, but in general, they're getting the ball back for your offense and you're not doing anything with it. You hold the Steelers to 1 touchdown and a couple field goals, and they weren't doing anything. They didn't really try to, but they didn't need to. And if they would have had something similar yesterday, then you start to say, oh, if we're 0-3, the defense is still, they lose 14-11, right? And you're like, well, we only give it 2 touchdowns, 1 in each, but we still lost. Like, what else can we do? You give them a little bit of a lead, you step on that gas pedal early, and the Broncos were able to do that. And even when they give it the first touchdown, Broncos came right down and at least got points out of it. So it's like, oh, no, we're still scoring.
Well,
we're not done scoring for the day.
Yeah.
PS2 talked about that in his full interview clip. He mentioned the importance of turnovers. That's like a very large priority for our defense, obviously. And they did a great job with that in week 3. And they've done a great job just being consistent and being competitive over the course of the 3 weeks of play. And I think what we saw in week 3 was our defense cutting our offense a break, giving them another opportunity, and we were actually able to do something with it. I think Sean Payton, there were 2 punts in this game.
Yeah. And he wasn't even true. How many punts was it?
Yeah, so it's refreshing to see our defense continuing to do what they've done and be rewarded for it, essentially, get that win, get some points on the board. So obviously that is all good and really great.
I want to mention about the defense as well. 7 sacks, right?
Awesome.
They haven't had a 10-sack player since 2018. The offense and their ability to stay on the field allows the defensive players to sit and rest, and when they come out, to fucking attack. When the offense is always going through
beast mode,
when the offense is always going 3 and out, the defense is tired. They're back. Oh, we're back on the field again. And then we're trying to, when you can let the defense rest and stay fresh, then they come on the field and they're ready to go. And those 7 sacks are a product of that. These guys not having to be on the field so much and being able to pin their ears back and come out fresh and attack the quarterback. So that's how one phase influences the other phase.
Totally.
And the running game got going and allowed, especially in the second half, the running game got going and allowed the defense to chill. Yep. And when they did come back out, they knew Tampa was going to have to throw because they're behind. So all that stuff is relative to the other stuff. And it's just cool to see a complete game.
Yeah.
Because it was a complete game. Marvin Mims.
It's the best way to describe the game, I think. It was complete.
Marvin had a 25-yard punt return. Special teams showing up as well. The kickoffs continue to be boring as shit, and I hate them. Yeah. They're stupid as stupid it can be.
In order for that rule to work, and I heard someone else say it, I think even Sean Payton might have talked about it. In order to, if you really want to get people interested in the kickoff, the NFL, if they want this to happen, they want to see kick returns, they're going to have to make it more punitive.
Yeah.
And it's going to have to go to the 40.
Right.
Because the 30 defensive coordinator's like, fine, we're still going to get the ball at our 20, and then we're going to go.
Well, here's what they'll do. They'll crunch the numbers, and they'll be like, if their average return takes you to the 32, then we're just going to kick a touchback and put them on the 30.
Yeah.
Every single time, because all of our kickers can do that.
Yeah.
There's not a kicker in the NFL that can't get you a touchback from there. So it's just it's pretty lame. And I hate what it's done to the game because you can't surprise onside. You can't even, you have to like ask for an onside kick and can only be in the fourth quarter. Yeah.
Like, really?
And then there's no like, back in the day, like when a game starts, there's like, they're playing the music and everyone's bouncing around back there, going ready, and then and we all run up and it's and the kick and everyone's like a fucking Braveheart battle scene.
Don't hurt yourself,
like
please.
Braveheart battle scene, Liv. And I used to be on that.
She hasn't seen Braveheart. She doesn't know what
you're
like,
what? About. Have you heard of Braveheart?
I've heard of it. I don't know if I've seen it.
I don't want to lose heart. I want to believe. Look, you've never heard of Braveheart? Mel Gibson?
I'm getting sick of this. I'm getting sick of this game.
I'm getting sick of you not knowing.
I'm getting sick of you guys. I'm getting sick of you guys intentionally.
Braveheart.
No, I'm getting sick of you guys intentionally choosing old stuff.
It's in the 90s.
It was not.
I was born in 98.
It might have won Best Picture.
Yeah, won Best Picture. It was an incredible movie.
What the heck?
Liv's never heard of Braveheart.
Also, I have to make a formal announcement. PSA. There's a lot of movies that get put on the television screen that is right in front of my face. I will be lucky if I make it 10 minutes into a movie. I don't know what it is.
Get rid of your phone.
I get relaxed. I get cozy. I do this thing at night when I get tired. I have cricket feet. I rub my feet together like a little cricket. And once I get comfortable, yeah, they do squeak. Once I get comfortable and I start rubbing my feet together, it's over with. It's game over. And usually I put on a movie to like relax. I don't ever just put on a movie to just like
watch it.
Yeah, I really don't. Honestly, I just like to chill. So in all fairness, there's a lot of movies that have been put on in front of me and I just can't make it through. I'm just a sleepy little, I'm just a girl.
Braveheart's a 3-hour movie too.
See, and I would not survive that.
But it's incredible. It's an incredible movie. It's an incredible love story. There's yeah.
It's romantic.
It really is romantic.
It's about fighting for freedom.
And it's about fighting for freedom. Yeah. The Scots against the English.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ask me about one more movie.
Spoiler alert.
Longshanks.
The Scots retain their freedom.
That's right. Okay. But William Wallace dies at the end for freedom.
Also, spoiler alert.
Freedom! And he's getting gutted.
The thing about
I don't need to watch crap like that.
It wasn't like
the gutness, being gutted.
He's not eviscerated. I mean, he is.
It's the inevitable end to this saga.
You ever see 300?
That's the. Is that the
Butler,
picture where he's got like this thing and it's like in red?
I've seen the poster.
And he's on the. That movie has been put on. I don't like those kinds of movies though.
Yeah.
What kinds of
the
movies?
thing is,
I
I
like
think
cartoons.
here's what I'm learning. I need to do more things that I don't like.
Yeah, get out of
Because
your
I'm the
comfort zone.
type of woman that will go to the restaurant and order the same thing every time because I know I like it.
Well, but that's okay because if not, you're not disappointed. I get you're not adventurous, but you at least know you like there's two schools of thought there. I dated a girl in college and she'd be like, you always get better stuff than me. She's like, I always try stuff. I go, I just get stuff like I like fettuccine Alfredo with chicken, so I know it's gonna be fine. You want to try something exotic? It might be awesome, but it also might suck.
What else do you like?
We just go down the list of.
Yeah, give us another one. What does BK
I like
eat?
a cheeseburger. I like pizza.
Where's your favorite
sushi.
place to get a cheeseburger, BK?
It's either a toss up between McDonald's, Burger King.
So fake
Wendy's.
meat. He likes fake
No,
meat.
they use real meat. I'm not. Look, we're looking for advertisers here. So
What burger do you get at McDonald's? Your Big Mac guy, double quarter pounder guy.
Quarter pounder with cheese.
Double
only
quarter pound. That actually.
I don't
I
want
can
to
see
get too
that.
sidetracked though.
Do you ever
I
get
know
an
what I would
apple
do,
pie?
like,
Do you ever get an apple
No, they
pie?
actually tried to give me a free one the other day because they totally screwed up my order. And I was like, I don't want the apple pie. I just want.
Give me a
more
McFlurry.
fries.
Just give me my double quarter pounder. You know what you do though?
Double
They didn't give me more
cheese.
I'm a Big Mac. I like Big Macs. I like double
Okay.
quarter pounders as well. But Big Macs don't have big enough patties, right? So what I would do is order a Big Mac and then a cheeseburger or two and take the patties out of those and put it in the Big Mac.
Man,
Yeah.
that's an interesting way to do it if you really.
Did you have a very specific way of eating, like in season? Did you try to be really clean, or like? I mean, you see a lot of different
Derrick
things.
Henry eats, who does not eat until
I was
5
gonna say
o'clock.
Derrick Henry very clean, and then you've got Ocho Cinco that's like I don't
These
care. I like
McDonald's just run it off.
Yeah.
This is a new thing. I think that the nutrition is sort of new. Back when I played, guys would eat whatever the fuck. In fact, you just wanted to say it. You wanted to
I'm
say
going
something.
to say the same thing you're about to say.
We would every Friday was pizza and Popeyes day after practice. We would come in and that's what we would eat.
Popeyes.
Thursday after practice, the rookies would have to get us food during meetings. So it was Chick-fil-A or it was whatever fast food we wanted them to get.
Never got Chick-fil-A on game days.
Saturday morning, we would show up and there would be like donuts that the offensive lineman brought. So we'd be eating donuts. Then we'd travel. If we traveled, even if we didn't travel, we stayed in the hotel the night before the game and we'd have all this, this spread for dinner. And then we'd go to meetings, get out of meetings at 9:15 and we'd have late night snack and it'd be all the same stuff for dinner, but it'd be chicken wings and burgers and a whole ice cream bar. So the night before the game,
I'm jealous.
dudes are taking a huge styrofoam to-go thing, filling it up with ice cream and all the fixings and going up to their room and like eating that and popping the Ambien that the athletic trainer gave us and just like freaking sleep.
Going to
like,
sleep.
And then wake up the next day and play an NFL
Ice
game.
cream's all over your chest,
Yeah.
like dripping everywhere.
Rod Smith notoriously would eat a chicken sandwich meal from Burger King right before the game. He'd be in the parking lot 2 hours before kickoff. That was his pregame meal.
Little Burger King moment.
And then he would go out there and play better than everyone.
Bring Cine Minis back. So help me God, Burger King. Listen up. Have you ever had the Cine Minis?
Cine Minis.
They were these mini little cinnamon rolls that came in this little like cutesy little like
Little box.
you opened it up and
Call
there was
that
a little spot for your icing and you got to dunk them in the icing. Cine Mini, and they also had the French toast sticks.
Still have
That
them.
was the most elite breakfast out there. Cine Minis from Burger King. Burger King, shame on you.
I had Burger King
for
this morning
getting that.
at the Orlando airport. It
Wow.
was great.
There was a lot of options there at that airport. And you went with
Burger King, I want a breakfast sandwich. So I got a croissant sandwich. But I almost went French.
You got a
toast sticks as
what
well.
now?
Chris sandwich.
It's a croissant sandwich, I guess what it has.
Croissant.
That's how the French
Croissant.
they pronounce croissant. They pronounce croissant sandwich.
Yeah,
I'm sure in Paris.
Probably.
You go to a cafe in Paris.
Yeah.
Can I get a croissant?
Croissant, please.
I love that. Okay, well, really quick, we do have 2 Monday Night Football games tonight. I don't have a ton of betting information for you outside of the fact that the public loves the Bills tonight. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence has not had some great weeks since this NFL season started. The Bills are favorites by 5.5 points in this one. I believe the total is 46.5. The public, both on the money line and laying the points with the spread, love the Bills tonight. And then as for that other game, the Commanders versus the Bengals, the most bet anytime touchdown score is actually the guy that hasn't
Jaden
made
Daniels?
it in the end zone yet, and it's Jamar Chase
Mm.
at plus 115. So those are kind of the only little betting tidbits I've got for you fellas. Let's start with the Jags versus the Bills. How do you think this is going to pan out? Do you have any anytime touchdown scores that you like? Nate, we'll start with you.
This
Give
is
us a
in
little
Buffalo or
prediction.
it's in Jacksonville?
Buffalo.
In Buffalo.
Yeah, like I'm big on like, hey man, like the narrative in the first couple weeks it can flip.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't be surprised if the Jags come out because when you're 0-2, your season's on the ropes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
if you don't win this game, your season's pretty much done.
I will tell you, fading the public also is 9. I'm not going to say 9. 7 out of 10 times in a prime time spot. fading the public will bode very well for your wallet.
Okay, so
from a betting perspective.
So I'm not a betting person, but I would be tempted to do that. That said, Trevor Lawrence not playing great.
Right.
Man, and it's hard to go into Buffalo and win. That's a difficult place to win. I would say if there's an anytime touchdown, though, that could be interesting, it could be Travis Etienne.
Yeah, that's a good one. He finds the end zone. I think he might have scored in each of the first 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. James Cook also coming off 3 touchdowns.
He's also one of the most bet anytime touchdown scores in that game.
They've got 10 days of rest, so you're not going to get great return there, but it might be easy money. In my Broncos same game parlay that I put together, I had Chris Godwin and Bo Nix to score.
I had Bo Nix.
I was good there, but some of the other things didn't happen, so I did not win $1,200 on a $3 bet. But at least
that's all right. You can't win them all.
Right.
You can't win them all. BK, I'll turn to you then for the Commanders versus the Bengals. Do you have a feeling on how that's going to? Obviously, we know the Bengals had a rough first week and then came back and gave the Chiefs a pretty tough game. Couldn't squeak it out there. And we know Jaden Daniels has been playing really well. He's a fun watch. He's
been running really well.
He's running. Well, yeah.
I mean,
he's moving the ball however he's doing it.
Or,
yeah.
And they beat. Well, maybe the Giants are better than we thought after going into Cleveland, or maybe Cleveland's
just
not
that
good.
bad. Yeah.
Sorry, Shelby. But 18. They beat him 18-15 last week. They didn't beat him 31-28. They weren't like dicing him up. But I like Jaden Daniels as an anytime touchdown scorer. Bengals getting Jamar Chase back. Or I'm sorry, getting T. Higgins back makes Jamar Chase's life easier. It makes Joe Burrow's life easier.
Yep.
It opens things up a little bit more and makes, I think, a Zach Moss anytime touchdown becomes a little more attractive because they get so much attention there. So I'd look at, if you're going to put more than one in a bet just to get a little bit better odds, I'd look, if we're going both sides, still Jaden Daniels to run one in because it's just what he's doing and his natural athleticism. And then Zach Moss as well.
Cool. Zach Moss is currently the favorite. But like I said, Jamar Chase is the most bet touchdown scorer in that one. James Cook in the earlier game, or the first game, I guess, on the slate. So, all right. Well, there's our predictions. Friday, we will be here live again, same time, same place, 11 a.m. Mountain Time. Except we won't be in studio. We'll be virtual, which is fine. All good things.
I'll be on an airplane, but Wednesday, me and Nate might bring you a special Wednesday edition of Off Field too.
All right, there we go.
We're talking to
Love
our agents right now to see if we can get it.
Yeah,
get a deal made.
Love it. Okay, cool. So we've got lots of football off-field content happening for you. So just make sure you're tuning into All Things. Give us a follow on All Things Social. Subscribe. We also have audio versions of our shows. Okay, so if you're like, hey, I don't really want to stare at the creepy Nathan or the spooky Liv or the weird BK, I don't know. If you don't want to look at us, that's fine. You can listen to us. Pop us on the radio. Pop us on the aux cord.
Spooky.
It is almost Halloween season.
It is. It's almost October.
Spirit Halloween's been open for weeks.
So we will be back again with another episode, maybe Wednesday, but for sure Friday. We'll be previewing the Broncos game against the Jets. We'll talk about, some of the things that we've seen throughout the practice week. Some things we can expect in that game for the Broncos. Hopefully, we are on a better track with this Broncos team.
Out of the Greenbrier, see how things are going there.
Yep, we'll have it all for you. So
I know what happens if the Greenbrier stays at the Greenbrier.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about.
Keep it there.
The one thing about the Greenbrier, and Sean Payton had his Saints teams go up there, and that's what really got this thing going. It is talking to people with the Broncos that have already seen the facility.
Gorgeous.
Right. It is
stunning.
And we talking about the Browns. They've done training camp there the last 2 years.
Beautiful
football fields. It is a NFL weight room, locker room, recovery. It is an NFL facility.
All on site with the rooms as well.
I don't know if they're in the rooms as much as just in an area that's like the football area.
Are they at a different hotel?
No, they're staying at the Greenbrier, and then it's on the property.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's on the property. Wow, okay. Yeah, and so that's what makes
it like a bed and breakfast for football players.
Except the Greenbrier is, if you know about luxury resorts, is very similar to like the Broadmoor. I mean, presidents would go stay there back in the day. So that's what you're looking at, is a very opulent resort in West Virginia, in the rolling hills there. But also they have an NFL facility there for practices. The Raiders with Josh McDaniels stayed there a couple years ago when they were on the East Coast. Teams have used it a bunch since Sean Payton and the Saints built it a decade ago or a little bit more than that.
There you go. Well, give us a follow on All Things Social. BK Denver Sports, Nathan Sirius, Liv Moods, but more importantly, Guerilla Sports and GS_off_field on All Things Social, so that we can keep you guys up to date with all things football. We'll be back again later this week. Thanks for hanging. Let's go Broncos, and we'll see you soon. Toodles.
Bye.